Recording in.
Thank you, Dr. Renette Rozier, for having me on your second annual virtual women's conference, Healing the Whole Woman. I am honored to be one of your seminar speakers today. And I am mindful of the time, so I'm going to jump right into what I want to talk about today with all of the listeners and the viewers on Facebook Live. And ladies, I'm talking to you. Of course, I'm always going to be an advocate for my sisters. And I want to talk to you about 7 stages of growth and development from singleness to married life. Yeah, 7 stages of growth and development from singleness to married life. And I'm going to be looking down at my notes and at this watch because I want to be mindful of my time. So forgive me as I sometimes veer off. But before I even jump into that, let me just say, when I say singleness, I'm talking about ladies that are currently not married. And I say that with an emphasis because single is just not the fact of, well, let me say it this way. If you have been married once before and you're divorced, or if you unfortunately are now widowed, you are still single. And sometimes society tries to put us into these different categories. You're a divorcee or you're widowed, trying to make us feel bad or sad for like forever, but you're single. And single is a necessity before you marry again. And sometimes some of these little categories give us stigmas. So some stigmas attached to that. So when I say I'm speaking to single women today about singleness to married life, I'm talking about those who also have been divorced or also have been married once before and now are widowed. So you're single, okay? And you are hopefully looking to marry again. And I feel that I'm very, very equipped to be the right person to speak on this subject because I am now married and I have celebrated 2 years anniversary with my husband, Raylan, just on September 15th. And I'm so thankful to God for that. And prior to being married, I was single for 26 years. And my singleness encompassed, once married before, and divorced after 7 years. And I had a prior engagement prior to this marriage. And that was about 11 years ago. So now I'm married. So I understand what it means to be single for a period of time from all different statuses, if you will. But I was just single, regardless. I wasn't a divorcee and I wasn't a prior engagee, a fiancé or fiancée, whatever you want to, put a label to. I was just single. And during that time, God gave me some great understandings about singleness because singleness is a season. It's not a sentence. Singleness is a season. It's not a sentence. And it's more about you becoming the wife than anything. And so there's stages to that. There are stages in this growth and development in those areas that I want to try to touch on. There's actually 7 stages, and I'm certainly not going to get to all of them. And I hope to do the 3 priority ones that I have selected justice to speak to you about. But before we do that, of course, it's always important to at least find the scripture that is relevant to my topic. And the scripture is a familiar one. It's out of Genesis. It's 2:18. And it said, and the Lord God said, it's not good that the man should be alone. Isn't that interesting? The man's not good by himself, but hey, we got this, right? That's why we can be single for so long and pretty much hold our own. But anywho, so God said it's not good for a man to be alone. He will make a helpmeet for him. And so I want to talk a little bit about that. And I know we probably heard people talk about helpmeet many times over, but I don't think we can ever really elaborate that enough. Because what I want to share is that just being single does not automatically qualify us to be a wife. If that was the case, a lot of us single women would be married many more times and prior to however long we've been single before now. And so just being single is not the primary qualification. We are becoming and being prepared to be a helpmeet. And it's important to do that prior to marriage and not after marriage, because once you already married, it's really kind of too late. It's like when I was in the military and we got prepared for war during peacetime. If you get prepared for if you get prepared for war during wartime, it's too late. You have to be prepared for war during peacetime. Same thing with marriage. You have to be prepared for marriage before marriage. And our biggest area of development is becoming a helpmeet. And one of the ways that we have to develop is in our personal development. And that's not just about our looks and our attire and our walk and our speech and all that, even though those things are important. But our personal development is our inner pieces of us, the more relevant, the more substance, more solid areas of us, like our values and our beliefs and our morals. How are they? And are they in check? And do they really reflect you as a woman? Or do they reflect you as a single person? Some of us who want to be married still look too single. Hello, somebody. Do you look and do you have morals and beliefs like a married woman? How's your integrity? Do you compromise still? Do we still have some areas of our lives that would put our character in question? What about, and I can really elaborate on that a lot, but I want to get to some areas. And what about our self-control? Is it still a little undisciplined? Some of us are still undisciplined in our behaviors. Our self-control is not in check. We're still easily excitable. Our thoughts are still unstable. People can push us off the edge and the ledge so quickly just by what they say, simply because it opposes what we believe or what we think. That we don't have control in that area. We still are undisciplined in some behaviors. We can be easily misguided and misled by someone else's opinion. What about being loved and being lovable? We want to be loved, but are we lovable? Do we love unconditionally? And do we want someone to love us unconditionally, but do we love unconditionally? Or is it about what they do for us and what they did and how well they did? I want to just put a little pin right there because I want to give a for instance about not loving my husband, God forbid, but I lived in my fantasy life of what marriage should be like for about, 18 months. So that means just 6 months ago, I finally got it right, okay? But my husband gets the door all the time, okay? I mean, hands down, he gets every door, into every store and to every restaurant, everywhere we go, and every time we jump into the car. Until a couple of times when he didn't get it, when we were getting into the car. And so we had on jeans and t-shirts and ball caps, and we were, just kind of jumping in to run an errand or, go to Walmart or whatever. And so I'm standing at the door. He's like, babe, jump in, hop in. What's the matter? And so I get it. And of course, I'm feeling a little sideways. And he's like, what's wrong? And, we do the virtual nothing thing or whatever. But I was living my fantasy life. And I'm fast forwarding this story. I mean, it worked out okay. But I'm fast forwarding this story to realize that it's not about him getting every single door. I love my husband because of who he is and who I am to him. And we cannot continue to live in our married lives the way we see it in our fantasies. My husband still gets every door, and when we get it, when we're dressed to the nines or we are out and about town and we're doing special things, or even when we're not doing special things, he gets the door. And it's more genuine when he gets it, when he does it without me expecting it. And that's, again, 99.9% of the time, my husband's going to get the door. And the times that he doesn't, I should be okay with that. So we have to still be loved and lovable at all times. And we can't let certain things misshape us or misguide us or throw us off simply because it doesn't line up with our fantasies or our agendas about marriage. I want us to understand, I'm going to throw this out here right here quickly, in case I don't get a chance to say it, that majorly character flawed women cannot be a helpmeet to their husband, okay? Majorly character flawed women cannot be a helpmeet to their husband. And we need to be honest with ourselves if we still have a lot of major character flaws and we're not working on them. What about emotional development? That's another one. Emotional development. I mean, hello, come on, let's just drop the drop the mic right there. Emotional development. How's your self-esteem? There's 4 areas of self-esteem. Simple: positive, negative, low, and none. Where do you fall on that spectrum? Positive, negative, low, or none? How's your self-esteem? Can you walk into a room and your head held high? Can shoulders back? Do you have a little swagger and a little style about you? Do you know who you are? Is your self-esteem on point? Or can people read you? And are you so low in spirit and low within you and your way you think about yourself and your expectations? Are they negative on your outlook? Do you have a sense of purpose and sense of belonging and that positive outlook? I mean, where is that emotionally? Those things reflect your emotions, and your emotions will bring those areas out. You have to be able to have some moral independence on some of this. Some things should not be able to throw you. So your self-esteem is off, your sense of belonging, you don't know where you are today, what you're doing, your sense of purpose, you're not as fully purposeful or meaningful about life. It's not satisfying to you. For what? Fix it. What is it? Fix it. That shouldn't be a long-lasting thing. Emotionally, these things are going to be underdeveloped, and these are going to show through. So you want to look at those areas. What about our sense of well-being? Do we have to have events that make us happy all the time, or are we happy all the time without events? We need to be mindful of some of this. There's actually a emotional intelligence, like an IQ type of status that some psychology today does, test rather, but obviously we don't have time to do that. That's very interesting. We can perhaps speak about that later. But real quickly, I want to talk about identity development. Identity development. These areas is quintessential. When we think about how our memories and our experiences and relationships and our values help create and shape our identity, what are some of your past areas that possibly have helped shape your identity? And is it long lasting? And my point about that is that some of the things that we have experienced, things we have done, some of the bad relationships that we probably can't even speak about, but nevertheless are part of our past, they don't last. Our past does not last. Let me say that again. Our past doesn't last. If it's going to shape your identity in any way, shape, or form, it should make you a better person. Don't hang on to that, because history in and of itself doesn't repeat itself. People do. History doesn't repeat itself. People do. Don't repeat those past things. Don't repeat those past memories that are harmful or hurtful. Don't repeat those type of relationships. Don't let that be part of what shapes you as far as your identity. God said about our identity is this. He had Adam name every living creature that came unto him. And when the woman was born unto him, he called her woman. And God said, and that's what she shall be called. And I paraphrase that particular scripture as Genesis 2:19. But my point is this: don't let a man call you out of your name that God did not call you. We think some of that's funny and cute and oh, he's called me, we're just gonna keep it G-rated, but we know some of those names that men call us, and we laugh and we smile, or we don't say anything, but yet we answer. Our response is our approval of that name that God never called us. That becomes your identity, ladies, because if you don't respond to the only name that God gave you, as far as being a woman, and then subsequently whatever family name you were given, there's a difference, then anything else you allow a man to call you, they are naming you. They are giving you an identity. And if you don't know who you are, the name that they give you allows people to give you that identity. And so single women, men don't get to call you out of your name that God didn't give you. It isn't funny. And if you don't have an identity, they will create one for you. And by responding, you have given them approval. And so I want you to understand that. But I really want to get to this area really, really quick because I got about 5 minutes left and I threw out a whole bunch of information. But this is really, really important. because we have been dating, those of us who are looking to marry, and because we are dating, and we have had the opportunity prior to dating because of just looking to date, looking to be married. But we have had to take care of ourselves prior to. We want to be mindful of a couple of things that when you are dating a man, be aware of a masculine and a feminine energy. Let me say that again. Be aware of masculine and effeminate energy. Now, when I'm talking about masculine and feminine energy, I'm not necessarily talking about pertaining to same-sex preferences, and I'm not even going over into that left field right now. But that's not what I'm speaking of. And I'm not talking about how a woman dresses or any of those areas. I'm talking about how if we have lived a certain age, past 30 or 40 or whatever, especially if we've been married once before or divorced or widowed even, we have had to shoulder the load of our lives because we've had to be able to be responsible and hold our own obligations in living. So there's a lot of things that we know how to do that is considered a masculine behavior, if you will. We know how to pay bills. We know how to get our own doors. We know how to get the gun or the flashlight. We hear a noise at night, right? We know how to fix a sink. We know how to call a plumber. We know how to do things that are considered masculine energy because we are strong, independent women. We've had to live and we had to take care of ourselves. And that's all well and good. But once you get that man, let him take that role. Let him lead that. Let him be all he's supposed to be. And we are supposed to just help them be better at it. So there's some masculine behaviors. And that's not saying you're masculine. We are not talking about that. We're talking about a little bit of a masculine behavior and effeminate energy. Now, consequently, there's effeminate energy that some men possess, and you want to be able to spot that and make sure that you run, Forrest, run if you sense it. And so that is a man that can't do what you do and won't do it. He can't take out the trash. You don't know what that even is like. He can't pay bills, don't have any money to pay bills, can't fix a sink, can't fix a toilet or, a leaking faucet. None of those things. Total opposite behaviors of what he should have. That's a man of an effeminate energy. And some woman somewhere along the way wouldn't expect him to do it or insist that he do it. And so he never learned how to do it or didn't have to do it and can't do it. And if he couldn't do it then, and he can't do it now, he's not going to be able to do it later. So you have to be mindful and careful of these particular type of men. You're not dating a man, you're dating your son, if that's the case. Someone that you're going to have to train. Now, depending on where you are in your relationship, are you still trying to train a man before you marry them? Or are you just trying to be a helpmeet unto them? So that's a lot of information. And I spit it out really, really fast. And I really just kind of wanted to just get some things unto you about what it's like in preparation to be married. And, I hope and trust to have given you something to think about. But one of the key things is that we are preparing to be a helpmeet unto the man. And there's some fundamental areas of our lives that we should be focusing on in order to be that woman that God will bring unto the man in the appointed time. God bless.